and welcome to the second of these videos on installing a single server Filr appliance. In this video we're just going to have a look at the initial configuration on the appliance side and what you need to do there before you actually have a running Filr system. My name's Robin Redgrave. I'm a solutions consultant based out of the UK. At the end of the previous video, we were able to log into the appliance. So if we just hit that same URL, the Filr appliance IP address and the 9443 port, we'll get a login into the appliance. So here, if we just use VA admin, which is the virtual appliance administration user, and the password that we typed in on the initial boot of the appliance. I could use root there, by the way, if I wanted to. That will take me through to the appliance configuration screen. So there are a few things here that I typically do. We'll just cover a couple of them here. So one thing I want to do is import a web certificate rather than using the self-minted certificate that we had before. So I'll be using this certificate for the hostname of the appliance. So just go into the digital certificates option. Ignore the JVM certificates. There's some things you may need to do here, but not now. And we'll go for the web application certificates. And you can see that self-signed certificate that I mentioned is created on install. Here, I'm just going to go for the file. I'm going to import a key pair. And in this instance, I'm just going to point to my PFX file and import that. And I can set an alias for this if I wanted to, and I'll type in my password there. And if I just say OK, it will just tell me that I need to set the certificates as active and then restart the server. So I'm not going to restart the server quite yet, but I will set this to be active. So if I highlight the certificate, I've got this option here, set as active, and I'll just say yes, I do want to set that. So there we are. So it just tells me I need to restart the server. Now the next thing I want to do is update the appliance. So I'm just going to go to the online update, and here I can either go against the Micro Focus Customer Center, in which case this appliance needs to have access to the outside world, or I can go against an SMT server should I wish. In this instance, I'm just going to go against the Customer Center. So here I'm just going to type in my email. And then my activation key, which I'll have got from the SLD portal. I'll blur this here so you don't see mine, but I enter that there, and then I just click register. And there we are, all the patches available. That took about a minute to go through that. And now what I'm going to do is do an update now. It'll give me a little warning. I'll just say OK. And then this will take a while. Okay, that's taken about 15 minutes to complete, but in your system obviously it depends very much on how much data it needs to be pulled down to patch the system, and of course the bandwidth available. Let me just close that, and let's just go back in, accept the risk and continue. I'll re-log in here. and you can see up in the corner now it's telling me the version number. Previously that was version 5. What we now need to do is just go into the configuration, and here you can see it's giving me the option for a small or large deployment. We're doing a small deployment here, so click next. What's the password for the database user? So make a note of this because you may need to know it in the future if you log in to the database separately from Filr. Click next. Default locale, I'm just going to set that to be United Kingdom. The administrator user ID by default is admin. You can change it to be something else should you wish. The only thing to bear in mind is that the default password is going to be the same as the administrator user ID. So at the moment with it as admin, the default password for Filr is going to be admin as well. I'll just leave it at admin and then just click finish. That took about 2 or 3 minutes to complete. What we're going to do now is just do some of the settings on this page that are needed. So first of all, if you go into the reverse proxy, just make sure that this is the host name that you're going to be hitting the Filr system on. In case you have a load balancer in front of it and you're hitting that load balancer rather than this Filr server, make sure that this is what your users are going to be typing in to get to the Filr system. Next, we're going to configure the outbound email. Filr sends emails for various things. If somebody's shared a file with you, if someone's accessed a share, if you're sending out a file upload request, if you're following a file, it will notify you when that's been modified. So we need to configure the outbound email. In this instance, I can use the local postfix mail server that's on the appliance itself, but more often than not, I will just go against my existing SMTP relay. So in this instance, I'll just put in the relay address 172.17.2.23, port 25. So here, depending on how I'm going to be connecting to that SMTP relay, I can authenticate to that should I wish. So I can just put in a password of this user that I've got configured here and specify that authentication is required. Or I can enable relaying from the Filr web node, or indeed web nodes. In this instance, I've got it configured to do a relay, so I'm not going to put in a password here, but I can just do a test connection and confirm that it can connect on that. So that's valid connection there. I'll just say OK to that and say OK. Finally, what I want to do here is upload my proper license. So in this instance, I've got the 60-day license I mentioned that in the previous video that the appliance comes with by default. But to upload my proper license, I can just browse for it, and here I've got, let's use the file power user license, and I will just open that and say OK. Having put those in, I now need to do a reconfigure to get those settings down that I've set. So let's do a reconfigure. OK, and now if you remember, it did ask us to reboot earlier on, so if I just go to the home and do a reboot, and I'll just say OK. Let's just go and have a look at the appliance itself. That took about 30 seconds or so to come up. If you wait another 20 seconds or so after that's come up, just for the filer to come up, let's go to a browser, and now I'm just going to go to the standard HTTPS port on that, not the 94431, so https:// and as we've got the certificate in there, that should work now. I will go to filer share.mydemo.biz, and hopefully that will come up. So there's only one user at the moment, and that's the admin user. So I'll just log in as admin. And of course, as I said before, the password here is admin. Let's just click on the login. And it's going to prompt me to change my current password. So my current password is admin. And a new password I will type in. And I will update the password. Say OK. And there we are. I am in. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it's helped you continue your installation of a single server filer implementation, and we'll cover a little bit further in the next video. Thank you for listening.